All right, so tonight we're going to be doing a deep dive into a house that's not exactly home sweet, more like home sweet, horrifying mystery. Our listeners have handed us House of Leaves, this like labyrinth of a novel.
That could winner.
Yeah, and we're going to try and explore it together.
Surely.
All its warped hallways and shadowy secrets and everything.
Well, one of the things that really strikes me about House of Leaves is how it plays with structure.
Right.
The book itself is like a maze, right? It kind of mirrors that disorientation and dread that the characters are going through in the story.
Yeah. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit because we're dealing with a lot of layers here.
Lots of layers.
First, we've got this fictional documentary, right? The Navidson record.
Right. And so the Navidson record introduces us to Will Navidson, who is a photojournalist.
Okay.
And he is documenting this really, really unsettling phenomenon.
I can only imagine.
So he moves his family into this house in Virginia. Seems normal at first.
Yeah.
But then very quickly they realize that something is really, really wrong.
Something's not right.
No.
And the house literally doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Right. I mean, it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about just like, oh, there's like an extra room or something like that.
No.
It's hallways appearing out of nowhere, rooms changing dimensions.
Yeah.
And then this like oppressive darkness that you feel like it's almost like alive,
Almost sentient.
Yeah.
There's this really specific detail in the book, too, where it says that there's a hallway that's a 1/4 inch longer on the inside than it is on the outside.
Whoa, okay.
And this impossible measurement just throws everything into question.
Yeah.
Like, is the house alive?
Oh, God.
Is it messing with them? What does it want?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So to map this impossible space, right?
Yeah.
Navidson puts together this team of explorers.
Okay.
And one of them is this adventurer named Holloway Roberts.
Holloway.
And I'm like, that is not a job I would ever sign up for.
No.
You couldn't pay me enough to go in there.
So Holloway becomes our guide into this, like, heart of the unknown, right?
Right.
And his journey is documented through all these like unsettling found footage recordings.
Oh, wow.
And it very quickly becomes this terrifying exploration of not only the physical house,
right,
but also just the darkest parts of the human psyche.
Yeah, and that, hold on, this is where it gets even crazier.
Oh, yeah.
All of this, the house, the Navidson record,
yeah,
we're seeing it through the eyes of this guy, Johnny Truant.
Right.
This troubled young guy who just kind of like stumbles on this whole thing on the manuscript, and he's the one that's like giving us the story.
Exactly. So Johnny's narrative adds this whole other layer of unreliability, right? His chaotic energy, his struggles, his obsession with this mysterious woman named Thumper, it all starts to bleed into the story.
Right.
And it blurs the lines between what's real and what's imagined.
Right. So we've got this documentary film that seems very factual.
Right.
And then it's being filtered through this unstable editor.
Yeah.
And then just when you think you've got a grasp on what's going on,
right,
there's another layer.
Yeah.
Zampanò.
Oh, yeah, Zampanò.
Right.
The blind author.
Who is this guy?
Yeah. So he is supposedly the one who compiled this manuscript about the Navidson record.
Okay.
His writing is very academic.
Really?
Yeah, very dense.
Wow.
Lots of footnotes, cross-references.
Why?
He's trying to make sense of this crazy story, trying to bring order to the chaos.
So you've got this blind guy trying to make sense of this house that literally defies the laws of physics.
Exactly.
Which is fascinating.
It's wild.
I mean, the footnotes alone in this book could be like a whole other episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just one example of how House of Leaves just like constantly subverts our expectations.
Right.
The format itself is a puzzle. You've got different fonts, different layouts, appendices, footnotes that turn into their own little mini narratives.
Oh, geez.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's like the book wants you to get lost.
Oh, yeah.
Wants you to feel that same disorientation that all the characters are going through.
I'm already feeling it just talking about it.
Yeah, and it works.
It does.
But that's what's so brilliant about it, right?
Okay.
It demands that you participate.
Yeah.
You're not just passively reading the story. You're unraveling it.
Right.
Piecing together clues, questioning what's real,
right,
what's in someone's imagination.
And just when you think you're getting close to an answer, the book is like, nope, throws you another curveball.
It does.
Right. Like, try again.
Like a game of literary hide and seek.
It is. But the stakes are high.
Yeah, the stakes are very high.
Existential stakes.
Yeah.
Even so, what's so genius about House of Leaves is it never gives you easy answers.
Never.
Right? It embraces ambiguity. It wants us to explore themes of fear and exploration and the limits of human perception.
Yeah.
But it doesn't tell us what to think.
Exactly.
So we've got this super complex structure.
Yeah.
These unreliable narrators.
Yeah.
A house that's literally impossible.
Yeah.
So, like, where do we even go from here?
Well, I think that's where the fun begins.
Okay.
Let's dive into some of the major themes of the book.
Okay.
Starting with this just pervasive sense of fear.
Right.
Like, it just seeps out of every page.
Yeah.
But it's not just like jump scares and monsters.
Right.
It's deeper than that. Something more primal.
Yeah, it's like the house itself is the source of fear.
It is.
But okay, before we get too lost in these dark hallways, let's talk about how the book explores the whole idea of exploration.
Absolutely. Yeah, the characters are always pushing boundaries, venturing into the unknown, both physically in the house and psychologically within themselves.
Right.
And what they find is usually much more unsettling than they could have ever imagined.
I bet.
Welcome back to our exploration of House of Leaves.
Yeah, so before we really went into, like, the whole world of exploration and fear, we were talking about how the book uses this multi-layered narrative to build that suspense and keep us guessing.
Yeah, it's like we're constantly peeling back layers of an onion only to find another onion underneath.
Yeah, and every layer just adds to that sense of unease and the mystery of it all.
Exactly. And speaking of peeling back layers, let's talk about fear.
Okay.
I mean, it's so central to the story.
It really is.
But as I mentioned before, it's not your typical horror movie kind of fear.
Right. It's not about jump scares or like creepy crawlies or anything.
No.
It's something much deeper, much more unsettling.
Yeah.
It's like an existential dread.
Exactly.
It just kind of gets in your bones.
It gets under your skin and it stays with you.
It really does.
Yeah. You know, the characters are confronted with their most primal fears.
Right.
The fear of the unknown, the fear of isolation, the fear of losing control.
Right.
And maybe the most terrifying of all, the fear of themselves.
Yeah, remember those weird symbols?
Oh, yeah.
Etched into the walls of the house?
Yeah, those markings.
They're never explained.
Never fully explained.
Right. But they suggest something so sinister.
Yeah, like something ancient, something unknowable, just lurking beneath the surface.
Yeah, and it's like those markings. Like so many other elements of the book, you can interpret them in so many ways.
Right. Exactly.
Are they a warning?
Yeah, are they a message from some previous inhabitant of the house?
Right, or are they, like, maybe the house itself is trying to communicate?
Yeah, like the house is a sentient being with its own agenda.
That's creepy.
Yeah, no wonder the characters are terrified.
I would be too.
Right. But it's not just the house itself. That's scary, right?
Yeah.
The characters also have their own struggles.
Right, their own anxiety.
Yeah, that add to that atmosphere of dread.
Yeah, like Johnny Truant.
Oh, yeah, good example.
His whole story is just filled with fear and paranoia.
Yeah, all those tattoos he has, too.
Big tattoos, yeah.
Like these intricate designs that hint at his past.
Right, and his struggle to, like, contain the chaos.
Exactly.
I thought it was interesting how his tattoos almost mirror the markings in the house.
Oh, interesting.
It's like he's trying to map his own internal labyrinth
Oh, wow, yeah.
onto his skin.
That's a really good point.
Almost like he's wrestling with those same forces, you know?
Yeah, I like that parallel.
Of chaos and darkness.
Yeah, and that whole idea of mapping
Right.
is so important to understanding the book.
Okay.
The characters are constantly trying to map the house.
Right, trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, but their efforts are always thwarted.
Because the house itself, like, resists definition.
It does.
Right, it's constantly shifting, changing, defying any attempt to just pin it down.
Right, it's like it's a living organism.
No. It's alive.
Evolving and growing in ways that we just can't comprehend.
Yeah, which brings us to one of the biggest themes of the book.
Oh, yeah.
The limits of human perception.
It's a big one.
The characters, and even us as readers, we're constantly confronted with our own limitations.
Yes.
Our senses, our ability to, like, understand the world.
Totally. And the house becomes this ultimate test.
Okay.
It challenges everything we think we know about reality.
Yeah. Can we trust our senses?
Oh, we trust our memories.
Right.
House of Leaves makes us face those questions.
It does. And it doesn't give us any easy answers.
No, and that's what makes it so brilliant.
I know. It's so unsettling.
It throws us into this realm where reality and fiction, sanity and madness, they're all blurred.
You don't know what's what.
Yeah, you start questioning everything.
Even your own perception of the story.
Exactly. It's like the book itself is a labyrinth, and the reader is the explorer.
Right. You're going through, turning corners, hitting dead ends.
Going back and forth.
Yep. But the deeper you go, the more you realize that the real mystery is inside yourself.
It's within you.
And that leads us to another huge theme.
Yeah.
The search for meaning.
That's a good one.
All the characters in House of Leaves are searching for something.
Yes.
Knowledge, truth, connection.
Help me make sense of it all.
Yeah, like Navidson.
Okay, yeah.
He's obsessed with filming the house.
Right.
He thinks if he can capture it on film, then he can understand it.
He can control it.
But the house is like, nope.
Yeah, it pushes back.
Reminding him that some things are beyond us.
Some things we just can't understand.
Right, and Johnny,
yeah,
he's desperately trying to put together this fragmented story.
Right, the Navidson.
While also dealing with his own demons.
His own inner struggles.
He's searching for meaning, not just in the story, but in his own life, too. But in the end, it seems like their searching is pointless. You know?
Well, I don't know if it's pointless. I think it's more like the house.
Yeah.
Much like life itself.
Right.
Refuses to be put into a box.
Okay.
It's chaotic. It's messy. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's an enigma.
It is, but that doesn't mean the search is meaningless.
Okay.
I would actually argue that it's the searching, the questioning, the wrestling with the unknown.
Right.
That gives life meaning.
Okay, I like that.
It's in that space of uncertainty, of not knowing, that we can really grow.
So it's not about finding the answers.
Yeah.
It's about, like, leaning into the questions.
Exactly.
And accepting that some things we may never fully understand.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah, and on that note of embracing the unknown.
Okay.
Let's go back to Holloway.
Oh, Holloway.
His journey takes us to the edge of, like, what humans can handle.
It does. It's intense.
We have to confront some really dark stuff.
Yeah, the darkest parts of ourselves.
And his descent into madness. It's a scary reminder that sometimes the greatest danger isn't out there in the world.
Right.
It's within us.
It's inside us.
His story really gets to you, doesn't it?
It does. It's so disturbing.
This experienced explorer, this guy who's used to facing danger.
Right.
He's broken by the house.
By the psychological torture of it?
Yeah. What does that tell us about fear?
Yeah.
And how fragile we are?
That's a really good question.
It's a question that House of Leaves makes us think about.
It really does.
But before we go any further down that rabbit hole, let's take a second to talk about symbolism in the book.
Okay, symbolism.
Because House of Leaves is packed with it.
Oh, it's overflowing with symbols.
The house itself is a symbol.
Yeah, good point.
The characters, the hallways, the markings.
Even the way the book is structured.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what do they all mean?
Right, what do they mean?
How do they add to the story?
Yeah, that's a question that we'll explore.
Okay.
After a quick break, so stay with us.
Yeah, don't go anywhere.
As we continue unraveling the mysteries of House of Leaves.
Okay, so welcome back to our deep dive into House of Leaves.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this crazy narrative structure.
Right.
Exploring fear, human perception, the characters trying to find meaning in this, like, chaotic universe.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack.
It really is. But there's this one character, Holloway Roberts.
Right.
Well, his journey is the one that really, like, sticks with you.
It's definitely the most, I'd say, harrowing part of the whole story.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who has faced so much danger.
Right, an experienced explorer.
But nothing could have prepared him for what was waiting inside that house.
Yeah, and we see it all through his Holloway tape.
The footage is so unsettling.
It's grainy.
Yeah.
Distorted.
Yeah, fragmented.
And it just makes you feel like you're right there with him.
Lost in that maze.
In the dark.
Yeah, and the way Danielewski uses that, like, found footage style, it's brilliant. It really pulls you into Holloway's mind.
As he's losing it.
Yeah, you see the world through his eyes.
As he's losing his grip on reality.
You start to feel that sense of dread, too.
Oh, yeah, like something's watching him.
Stalking him through those endless hallways.
He keeps talking about feeling followed.
Hearing sounds.
Just out of reach of the camera.
It's creepy.
It really is.
And we never actually find out what, if anything, is hunting him.
Right. It's left open.
Which taps into our primal fear of the unknown.
Yeah, the things we can't see or understand.
Exactly. And don't forget about the isolation.
Right. He's all alone in this dark, confusing space.
No familiar landmarks. No way to orient himself.
And it wears him down.
He becomes paranoid.
Delusional.
Seeing things that aren't there.
Yeah, it's like the house is a mirror to his own fears.
Like it's feeding off of his terror.
Amplifying it, pushing him over the edge.
It's a powerful image.
It really shows that sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones inside us.
The ones we create in our own minds.
And his fate is one of the most disturbing parts of the book.
We don't see him die.
But we know what happened.
He's swallowed by the house.
Consumed by the darkness.
It's a reminder of the house's power, you know?
Yeah.
Its ability to destroy even the strongest people.
But here's what I find interesting.
Okay.
The book itself has echoes of Holloway's experience.
Oh, interesting.
Johnny's descent into madness.
Right.
His paranoia, his erratic behavior.
Yeah, it mirrors Holloway's journey in a way.
And that's what makes House of Leaves so brilliant.
It's all connected.
It blurs the lines between the characters and the reader.
Yeah, like we're all trapped in this labyrinth.
Trying to find our way out.
But there's no exit.
The book leaves us with more questions than answers.
It makes us confront the unknown.
The mysteries of existence.
And it stays with you long after you've finished reading it.
Like a nightmare you can't quite shake.
It's unsettling, but also beautiful in a way.
Yeah, it doesn't try to comfort us or give us easy answers.
Right, it challenges us.
Makes us face the uncomfortable truths.
Reminds us that the world can be a scary place.
And that the real monsters are often the ones we carry within ourselves.
Exactly.
So on that note,
okay,
we leave you to ponder the mysteries of House of Leaves.
It's a book that will challenge you, unsettle you.
Maybe even change how you see the world.
Go out there and explore.
But be careful.
You might not like what you find.